Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. We are diving straight in today because we're tackling a massive, honestly maddening issue, sleep. Specifically, we're going to break down the actual clinical evidence behind a traditional herb called ashwagandha and look at exactly how it functions as a treatment for stress-induced insomnia. If you are totally burned out on fragmented advice and just want to understand the hard science of sleep regulation, you are exactly where you need to be. Let's get into it.
I mean, we've all been there, right? Why is it that you can be completely physically exhausted, literally tired to your bones, but the absolute second your head hits that pillow, your brain just completely refuses to shut off? It's a highly relatable and, frankly, incredibly frustrating paradox. Your body is screaming for rest, but your mind is running an absolute marathon while you're just laying there trying to count sheep. Understanding the why behind this is the very first step to actually fixing it. So here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. The root of stress insomnia. 2. What is ashwagandha? 3. Core clinical data. 4. The efficacy timeline. And finally, 5. Safety risks and protocols.
All right, Section 1, the root of stress insomnia.
Get this, over 30% of adults suffer from insomnia today. That is a staggering chunk of the population. But here is the really critical distinction we have to make. For the vast majority of these cases, this isn't just some random biological clock malfunction. These cases are directly triggered by stress and anxiety. It's not that you've magically forgotten how to sleep. It's that your body's stress response is actively keeping you awake. Beneath the surface, it usually comes down to something called HPA axis overdrive. Now, think of your body like a car. HPA axis overdrive is essentially having a car engine that's just constantly revving in the red zone. Your system is flooded with abnormally high levels of nighttime cortisol. That's your foot slamming on the gas pedal. And at the exact same time, you have a major deficiency in GABA activity. GABA is an inhibitory neurotransmitter. It's basically your brain's natural braking system. So you've got excess gas and broken brakes. No wonder you can't drift off.
Which brings us to a really important comparison. Think about traditional sleep aids, things like melatonin or short-acting sedatives. They mostly just act like a band-aid. They try to forcefully shift your biological clock or practically paralyze your nervous system temporarily without actually fixing the underlying stress imbalance at all. They don't fix the engine. Ashwagandha, on the other hand, is being heavily studied specifically because it aims to target that actual biological root of the stress.
Moving right along to Section 2, what exactly is ashwagandha?
Ashwagandha, or Withania somnifera, is a traditional botanical adaptogen that's been around for centuries. But modern science shows us it relies on an incredibly cool dual pathway mechanism to regulate your biological stress response. First, it actively lowers that excess cortisol via the HPA axis. Basically, it takes your foot off the gas pedal. Second, it enhances those GABA inhibitory neurotransmitters we just talked about. It naturally repairs your brain's braking system. And the best part? Because it's restoring balance instead of acting like a heavy sedative, it helps the brain soothe itself without leaving you with that awful, groggy daytime hangover you get from traditional sleeping pills.
Okay, Section 3, core clinical data. Let's look at the actual science. To do that, we are pulling directly from the rigorous source material compiles over at sleep-p1web.site. They take a strictly objective, literature-backed approach to evaluating sleep interventions. There is absolutely zero room for marketing fluff here. They rely exclusively on high-quality clinical research to determine if this herb actually works in the real world. So let's break down this really interesting random control trial. They had 138 participants, and the parameters were strict. The intervention group took a standardized dose of 300 milligrams daily, split into 2 doses over an 8-week period. They measured the PSQI, which is the gold standard index for sleep quality, along with sleep latency, meaning how fast people fell asleep, and overall sleep efficiency. The results? The ashwagandha group saw significant, highly quantifiable improvements across the board. They fell asleep faster, slept deeper, and stayed asleep longer compared to the placebo group. We're talking less time staring at the ceiling and way more uninterrupted rest. But I want you to pay close attention to this specific finding. The trial explicitly noted that the absolute greatest benefit was seen in people suffering from insomnia combined with chronic anxiety. If your sleep issues are purely schedule-related, say jet lag or shift work, the results were way milder. This is a crucial takeaway. It underscores that ashwagandha is a targeted tool specifically for stress-induced sleep loss, not just a universal magic potion for all sleep disorders. Section 4, the efficacy timeline. Let's manage some expectations. This timeline is super important because it sets realistic, scientifically grounded expectations. Around week 1 of consistent use, some folks report feeling emotionally calmer and having a reduction in those racing nighttime thoughts. But clinical distinction here, short-term calmness does not equal long-term circadian repair. It takes about 4 weeks for objective, measurable sleep metrics to significantly improve. And for stable, sustainable sleep enhancement, the data says you need to stick with it for a full 8 weeks. Consistency is absolutely paramount.
Finally, Section 5, Safety Risks and Protocols.
It is incredibly important that we set some strict boundaries here. Ashwagandha is powerful, which means it is absolutely not for everyone. Pregnant or nursing women, anyone with an autoimmune disease, or folks with hyperthyroidism literally must avoid this supplement entirely. Also, if you're currently taking prescription blood pressure or anti-anxiety meds, you cannot just stack this on top. The risk of dangerous chemical interactions is very real.
We also have to be totally objective about its limitations. Ashwagandha is an aid. It is not a cure for organic diseases. If your insomnia is caused by physical pain, severe sleep apnea, or other underlying medical conditions, this isn't going to fix it. Plus, while the clinical data proves it's incredibly safe up to that 8-week mark, high-quality data confirming long-term safety past that point is currently lacking.
So if you do fit the profile, what is the exact scientific protocol? 1. Quality matters. Choose a standardized root extract so you actually know you're getting the active ingredients. 2. Take 300 milligrams total daily, ideally splitting it into a morning and a night dose. 3. Evaluate consistently over a 4 to 8 week period. And please, as always, consult a medical professional before starting, especially if you have any underlying conditions at all. To wrap up today's deep dive, I want to leave you with this core takeaway. Ashwagandha is a fantastic, evidence-based tool for regulating the HPA axis, but it's exactly that, a supplemental tool. It is not a magic pill that replaces a healthy lifestyle, good sleep hygiene, emotional management, or necessary medical treatments. You just can't supplement your way out of a terrible nighttime routine. Which leaves us with this final provocative question. If you truly want to conquer your sleep issues at the root cause, how are you going to actively manage your daily stress alongside your sleep hygiene? Supplements might repair the brakes, but hey, you are still the one driving the car. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking great questions, and I really hope you get some fantastic rest tonight.